Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William H. Thompson, CPA, MBA, and I am the founder of RE Accounting and Tax Professionals. We help real estate investors maximize return on investment through expert tax strategies, while at the same time helping them to build and sustain a legacy. Welcome to Free Information Monday. Today, I'm going to discuss the topic of real estate professional status and how it relates to real estate investors. But before I begin, I'm going to set the backdrop for speaking about real estate professional status. So we have to understand what the difference is between passive and non-passive income. So you're basically dealing with two buckets, passive and non-passive. And these two buckets of income or loss are extremely different from one another. For example, what is a passive loss? A passive loss is anything that you have to do with rental real estate. But it's also, you could be investing in your brother-in-law's, restaurant, silent partner. You're putting up 20%, you're getting a refund, not a refund, but a draw or a payment each month, but you're not actively involved in the business. So that's a good definition of what is passive income. Now, non-passive income is different. Non-passive income is, let's say that you're a W-2 employee, you work for a company, or you own your own, say, landscaping businesses. Those are two fine examples of non-passive income. Now, why is that important? Because if you have a passive loss, you're not going to be able to offset that passive loss against any non-passive gains unless you become a real estate professional. What does that mean? A real estate professional status is where you work at least 750 hours in a trade or business, a real property trade or business. And that is pretty much all you do. Now, you have to have at least 750 hours and more hours than any other trade or business you may be involved in. So let's say you are a realtor. That's an example of a real property trade or business. But you're also a part-time W-2 employee for a landscaping company. You have to work at least 750 hours in your real property trade or business, and at more than half of that has got to be greater than what you worked in the W-2 income. When you hit the 750 hours and more than any other trade or business, then you've hit the status of real estate professional. But that's not it. If you want to deduct your rental losses against your non-passive income, you're going to have to materially participate in your real property trade or business, your rental business. So what does that look like? There are 7 steps or 7 ways to materially participate in your rental property business. But I really only like the first 3. The first 3 that I'm going to speak about are what's really the best way to do it. So the gold standard is to get 500 hours or more of involvement or material participation in your rental. Now, if you only have a few rentals, that's not going to be possible. Not going to be possible. The other way you can materially participate is to have 100 hours or more and more than anyone else working. So what that means is you actually have to track the folks that are doing work in your property other than you. So let's say you're running you're managing the property, you're collecting rents, meeting with the tenants, scheduling repairs, doing leases, and you're materially involved in that business. Well, you have to track what the other folks are doing. What I mean by that, if you have a plumber come in, if you have a painter come in, you have to keep track of what the others are doing. And remember, it's 100 hours or more and more than anyone else. So that can become That can become a little bit tedious, but it's absolutely doable. The third way that I like to get material participation is more than anyone else. Materially more than anyone else. In other words, substantially all is what I'm saying. Nobody else is doing anything but you. So let's say you just get 50 hours in your material participation expenditures. You are really okay as long as nobody else worked in the business. So again, recapping, 500 hours in material participation, 100 hours and more than anyone else, but keep in mind you have to track the others, and substantially all the participation, meaning no one else is doing anything but you. So once you hit the 750 hours or more, and more than any other trade or business, and you materially participate in your rental properties, that's where real estate professional status can help you. So let me give you an example. Let's say that between you and your wife, you're having, let's say your wife, she's a W-2 income, making about $250,000 a year, but you're a realtor. You're a realtor, and in that realtor business, you're working 750 hours, at least 750 hours, and probably more than that. And you don't have anything else. It's strictly the realtor business. So you met your goal of the 750 hours and more than any other trade or business. And again, this is very important. Your wife, you can't combine real property trade or business hours with your wife. Only one can qualify for the real estate professional status. But here's the good news. Both of you can combine your hours to meet the material participation rules. So once you've hit the 750 hours and you're materially participating in the business, you now get the advantage of deducting your non-passive or your passive losses against your non-passive income. Example: let's say that you again, your wife makes $250,000 of W-2 income, and you, with all of your rental properties, have came up with about $75,000 worth of loss. Now, keeping in mind, this is not actual cash loss. It's a paper loss through deducting all of your expenses, including the big one that I like is depreciation. So once you tack on depreciation, you should be able to show a paper loss on each one of those properties. So let's say that, backing it up, the wife has made $250,000 on a W-2, and you, on all your rental properties that you have showed a combined loss of $75,000. The beauty of this is you're going to be able to take that passive loss of 75, and you're going to be able to reduce that W-2 non-passive income of $250,000. So now, instead of paying taxes on $250,000, you're going to be paying taxes on $175,000. And if you're anywhere in the 22 to 32% tax bracket, that is going to be a huge deduction for you. So what I wanted you to get out of this free information Monday was the fact that if you're able to qualify as a real estate professional and you've materially participated in your rental activities, you can now take those passive losses and reduce the non-passive income. It's very, very powerful. And this is how real estate investors not only reduce taxes, but also build their generational wealth. I love it. I've done it myself. Well, I hope this segment of Free Information Monday was helpful to you. And remember, if you're a real estate investor that wants to maximize your return on investment through expert tax strategies, while at the same time helping to build and sustain your legacy, book a call with our firm. And remember, only you can create your empire, but we are here to help you every step of the way. Thank you, and I wish you much success on your real estate journey.